In this lesson of Sharh Kitab al-Da' wad-Dawa, Al-Sheikh Abdul Razzaq al-Badr Hafidhahullah explains an important point from Ibn al-Qayyim Rahimahullah. Not all sins are at the same level, and so their punishments in this world and the next are also very different. Ibn al-Qayyim begins by reminding us that the root of all sins goes back to two main categories: abandoning what Allah has commanded and doing what Allah has forbidden. These two types of sins appeared in the story of the father of mankind and the father of jinn. Adam alayhi salam sinned by doing a forbidden act, eating from the tree, while Iblis sinned by leaving a command, refusing to prostrate out of arrogance. Ibn al-Qayyim points out that abandoning great obligations is often more serious than committing some prohibitions, because the obligations are the very pillars of the religion. He then explains that each type of sin has an outer and an inner side. The outward sins are the ones we see on the limbs: stealing, fornication, drinking alcohol, disobeying parents, riba, oppression and injustice. The inner sins are the diseases of the heart: showing off, arrogance, jealousy, love of fame and status, wanting people's praise. These hidden sins can be more dangerous than many outward sins because they can destroy one's good deeds while the person does not even feel it. Ibn al-Qayyim also divides sins based on whose rights are violated. There are sins that mainly relate to the rights of Allah, such as abandoning prayer, fasting, or pure tawheed and sincerity. And there are sins that affect the rights of people, wronging them, taking their money unjustly, backbiting, slander, insulting their honor, and shedding forbidden blood. Every human right contains a right of Allah, but they are called people's rights because on the Day of Judgment it is the victim who will demand justice, and the sin is not cleared until he forgives or is compensated. Then Ibn al-Qayyim presents a deep classification of sins into four types according to what the soul resembles: royal sins, where a person imitates wrongly qualities that belong only to Allah; absolute greatness and pride, controlling and humiliating others, acting as if he is a lord over people, or claiming rights that belong only to the Lord. This includes especially shirk and lying about Allah concerning His names, attributes, and religion. Satanic sins, where the person resembles Iblis by actions like jealousy, hatred, cheating, plotting, calling others to sin, beautifying innovations and misguidance, and turning people away from obedience. These sins come right after shirk in seriousness because they are the very work of shaitan. Predatory, beast-like sins, where a person imitates wild beasts: aggression, violence, oppression, thirst for dominance and power, intimidation, killing, looting, and spreading fear among people. This is like living by the law of the jungle, not by the law of Allah. Animal, cattle-like sins, where a person lives almost only for his stomach and private parts, eating without limits, indulging in pleasures, falling into zina, theft, consuming haram wealth, miserliness, cowardice, panic, and so on. Ibn al-Qayyim notes that this is the most common type of sin among people because most do not have the power or position to commit the royal or predatory sins, but they are deeply sunk in desires and pleasures. Ibn al-Qayyim shows that these four types of sins are connected. Someone who stays in animal-like sins of desire can easily slide into predatory sins, then into satanic sins, and finally reach a point of challenging the Lord Himself through shirk and open rebellion. The Sheikh ends this passage by explaining that when a believer reflects on these categories and levels, he becomes more aware of his own faults and more cautious about the tricks of shaitan and his own nafs. He realizes that not all sins are equal, and that some of them are direct steps towards kufr and shirk, which he must flee from as he would flee from a great fire.